Know your target audience. I can't preach that enough. So especially when they seen that we had our own machine, that's when the orders really started to come in. So it kind of just sold itself. Without your audience, you're not selling nothing. You're not selling your service. You're not selling your shirts or your product. Something that I think everybody should know is.
Thank you so much for being here, Brandon, and for joining me in this chat. If you could maybe tell us a bit about what you do, when did you get started, how did you come about in this industry?
I'll say 97, 98 is when I first started screen printing, and then maybe early 2000s I got into heat pressing.
Okay.
So I ran multiple brands, print shops and stuff like that over the years, but now I kind of just focus on my own brands and printing for others.
People that want to start an embroidery business, one of the things that scares them the most is probably the learning curve. Am I able to do it? Is this too intimidating? How did you personally tackle that when you first started?
Big fear for us was always just the price tag of all the machines. And then we didn't know, should we get a single head, 6 head? We didn't have the space for a 6 head at the time. So that's always like in the back of my head is, all right, we're going to invest this money into this machine, but can we pay this machine off? Or is it going to actually have some sort of ROI on us? For me, what I started doing was I started tracking how much embroidery work we're outsourcing. So that once I found out that we were leaving a lot of money on the table by outsourcing all this stuff, that's when we really got focused on looking into getting our own machine and wanting to do our own hats. We got it just so we could print our own hats or stitch our own hats.
Oh, okay. Just for your own logo.
That's it.
Okay.
And then we seen that there's so much work out there for other people that wanted that service. So then that's when we started to see the money really roll in.
Right. But I think probably one of the things that helped mitigate that was because you already had an established printing customer base, and you already knew what you were outsourcing.
Yeah.
You were simply doing math to say that if I can get this many, I'm already paying this much in outsourcing.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of volume you are getting.
Yeah.
And that type of money you're paying to outsourcing can probably pay for the machine. No?
That's exactly it.
So what was the kind of dollar amount of outsourcing you were paying on a monthly basis when you were starting out?
So for us, what we started to notice is if we had X amount, like let's say it was over $800 every month just on embroidery that we're paying somebody else to do.
Okay.
And then we found out how much all these machines cost. We said, oh man, we could afford this thing.
In like a year.
Yeah.
Just from the outsourcing. Not.
And I encourage everybody to kind of do that same exact research and see if you have the embroidery work already coming in. It's a lot different when you get the machine and then you try to find the work.
Okay.
If you're already outsourcing it, then you already have the clientele ready for it. For me, it's always just making a smarter business decision, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to put yourself in debt, but at the same exact time, you want to scale the business and grow the business. So doing the research first before you invest in it is something that I preach to everybody that watches my YouTube channel because, one, I would hate to put somebody in debt just saying, look how easy this machine is, but I actually want to help people get the clients, get the customers, and know how to sell the service.
Okay. What are some of the things, from your own research process, looking at different products, different embroidery machines, what are some things that you would tell your viewers or anybody that's listening on what they should be looking for in the research process? What should they care about in the research process?
For me, the big seller on actually working with Ricoma and using a Ricoma machine was the customer service.
Okay.
To me, I want a company that's going to back the machine. I don't want a company that's just going to sell me the machine and then just, kind of leave me hanging. So once I seen what the customer service was like with Ricoma, that made the decision all that much more easier for me in my shop was having access to the text, having access to everybody just through either email, FaceTime call.
Right.
We've had techs call us and help us out just over FaceTime and troubleshoot stuff within 10, 15 minutes is the biggest sell for me in my shop.
Okay. And that was something you kind of, did a little bit of research on and understood.
Oh, we did a lot of research. Put into these trade shows, we talked to every embroidery company, and everybody's just a salesman. Everybody wants to sell you the machine, but nobody wanted to back the machine.
Okay.
And when we started asking customer service questions, that's when it was like, well, you can email this department and do this. And then I just noticed everybody was just starting to try to sell me. Once they had my email, they were trying to sell me the machine. I said, no, it's not about that.
Okay, got it. Okay, and so what's the next in your business? Where do you see it going next? Obviously, you run a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's a full-time job in itself, right?
Yes.
And then you got to run the printing business, the embroidery business, which is just in its early stages as it's even growing very rapidly.
Yeah.
What do you see next? What's coming next?
For us in our shop, it's more embroidery. Right now, we're working on a single head machine. We have so much work coming in that it's backlogged. So having another single head machine or a multi-head machine is going to work for us.
Okay.
Obviously, upgrading our space where we're at. Within the last 2 or 3 years, me and my business partner have moved to 3 or 4 different shops.
Wow, just
in
to expand the
sailing.
space.
Yeah. So having the room for the machines, and then we obviously have the work for the machines. So
Okay.
embroidery for us, a big one is we got it just to do hats.
Really? Okay.
So then once we started to see that there's so much work in polos and other garments, that's when everything opened up for us.
What's kind of the breakdown of your type of orders? Is it mainly hats, or you
Yeah,
get a
so
lot of everything?
it's mainly hats, but then I do have corporate clients that want polo shirts and
Okay.
stuff like that we do
Okay.
for. But usually when people come in, we'll print the T-shirts for them, and then they'll request, embroidered hats.
Oh, I see. So a lot of people kind of, knew you from printing, and then
Yeah.
now know you also do embroidery. It
Yeah.
opens up a whole set of other doors for them to order embroidery
That's
as
it.
well.
And it works as easy as the client actually seeing the machine and knowing we have that capability is what brings them in.
I'm sure the YouTube platform helps a lot with that, right?
I don't sell my services on YouTube.
Okay.
I only teach people how to do it on YouTube. All
Okay.
my clients come locally that don't even know I make YouTube videos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my YouTube channel isn't part of the business structure. It's more of showing people how I run my business.
Okay, like the behind the scenes
That's
and
it.
some of that.
So
Okay.
then that way they could run their own business too.
Starting the business from 0 to 1 when you first got started, way back in the
Yeah.
90s. So how it is now probably presents a whole other set of challenges that were very different in
Yeah.
getting from 0 to 1, just starting that initial step.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're trying to kind of either perfect or optimize different processes. What are some of the challenges that you're facing now versus the challenges that were what you first got started?
Yeah, so for myself, I got into this because I wanted to start my own brand. I still run and operate my own brands, but the big thing is always trying to find out who you're going to sell the T-shirts to.
Okay.
That's something I tell everybody that watches my YouTube channel is you have to learn how to sell the shirts, who you're going to sell it to before you get the equipment and before you do everything else. It's kind of ass backwards if you do it that way because you know how to make everything, but you don't know how to sell it or who to sell it to.
Okay.
So one of the challenges that I started to notice early on, and it's still, relevant today, is the customer changes all the time. There's always a new customer, there's always a new group, there's always a new niche. But once you figure out who you're going to sell to, how you're going to sell the stuff, then it's kind of just business as usual at that point.
Okay.
That's something that I think everybody should know is when you're selling the service, know what you're doing, be confident in your service, and then that way it'll help you sell the service to the client or to whoever you're trying to go to. A lot of times people will get the machine, they'll watch every video, they'll understand how to use it, but then when it comes to the sale part, they don't understand how to sell the service, or they don't know how to talk about the service that they know how to do because they don't know where to go or who to talk to about it.
Right. Awesome. Well, Brandon, this has been very eye-opening and insightful. What's one last thing that kind of either a couple of pieces of advice you would give to either people watching this on YouTube eventually, or audience here as to what are the key takeaways of how they should think about starting their next journey in embroidery or in printing or wherever it is in that next step in their apparel decoration journey?
Know your target audience. I can't preach that enough. Knowing your target audience is going to be the biggest part of your whole thing because without your audience, you're not selling nothing. You're not selling your service. You're not selling your shirts or your products. Knowing who you're going to sell to makes the sale easier on yourself. I talk about that all the time on my channel because I believe in that. But at the same exact time, I understand that everybody wants to sell stuff to the world. Everybody says, man, I want my T-shirts on. Everybody in here should be wearing my shirts. But everybody's part of a different audience. And not everybody has the same taste. Not everybody has the same style. So knowing who you're going to sell to, your services, your products, that's number one. Before you buy any piece of equipment or you invest into anything, do the research. Do the free research of learning who you want to sell to and your space in this business.
Hopefully the audience got some insight out of that and,
Yeah,
can take away some of the things that you experienced in your journey
Yeah.
and apply that or tweak that to what's their situation.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you so much for joining
Appreciate
me.
you, brother.
It was
Thank
great
you.
having you. Thank you.
Thank you.